Part 2. The doctor will see you now. The receptionist smiled as she gestured towards the doctor's office. Adam looked at his mum for comfort. Up until now, he'd been desperate to see the doctor about his problem, but right now it felt like he was about to face his executioner. What if it's bad news? I know it's going to be bad news. Adam shook his head and tried to think positively. He tried to belittle the situation in his mind, but his mind wasn't going to be fooled so easily. He approached the door to the doctor's office and placed his hand on the handle. He paused as he took a deep breath and exhaled sharply. No turning back now. Mustering all his courage, he pressed down on the door handle, pushed it open, and walked in. "Ah, Adam, how are you? It's been a while," Dr. Dotter welcomed as he stared down at a pile of papers on his desk. Adam held the door open for his mother. "I'm good, thanks," Adam said as he cringed at the sterile smell of the doctor's office. "If you're good, then why have you come?" The doctor chuckled. Adam hadn't been in the room for 5 seconds, and he already felt like an idiot. Adam pondered how it was odd that people often answered out of habit rather than actually answering honestly. Social conditioning at its finest. "Well, actually, I'm not so good," he corrected. The doctor finally looked up and pushed his spectacles up the bridge of his nose. "My, you've turned into quite a handsome young man." He turned and faced Sharon. "Mrs. Newton, it's nice to see you again. Please take a seat." "Thank you so much for seeing us at such short notice," Sharon began. "I know how busy you are." "It's what I'm here for, Sharon," Dr. Dutter replied as he wrapped his stethoscope around his neck and walked around the desk. He perched himself on the corner beside Adam. "So, young man, what seems to be the problem?" Adam explained his nightmares and the incident on the street. He tried his best to describe the feeling of sickness and dizziness before the blackout he experienced. After listening carefully, the doctor placed his stethoscope in his ears and placed the diaphragm on Adam's back and listened to his heart for a few seconds. The doctor went back to his seat and checked through Adam's file. "Adam, have you suffered from a cold or fever recently?" "No." Adam shook his head as he replied. "Have you had any head injuries, any fights at school, any knocks during football?" Adam took a moment and thought about it. "I've had a few bumps during football, but nothing serious and nothing to my head." "I see." The doctor leant forward. "Adam, I have to ask you an important question and you have to answer me honestly. Don't worry about getting into trouble." "Okay." "Okay." Adam wasn't sure what this question was going to be about, but by the tone of the doctor's voice, he could tell that it was something he probably didn't want to answer in front of his mother. Dr. Dutter looked Adam straight in the eyes. "Do you or have you taken any drugs or alcohol recently?" Adam physically gulped and instantly felt his face redden with embarrassment. It was the worst thing the doctor could have asked him. He considered lying, but there was too much at stake. He glanced at his mother and saw nothing but genuine concern for his well-being in her eyes. He looked back at the doctor and realized that he had to be honest. "Yes," he replied sheepishly. "I've smoked a little weed over the last few days, but not much." Adam wondered what was worse, the brain tumour, or his mother's wrath now that she knew he was a pothead. "Anything else? Alcohol? Other drugs?" "No, just the weed," Adam admitted. "And how often do you smoke?" "I'd say 2 or 3 spliffs in a week." "Okay." Dr. Dutter started scrawling on a notepad. "Anything else you think I should know, Adam?" Adam sat there and thought for a while. He wasn't sure what that question meant, but he knew that there was nothing left to admit to. "No, that's it." Adam looked at his mother. To his surprise, she didn't look angry, nor upset. But Adam knew that it didn't mean he wasn't in trouble later. No. Dr. Dotter finished scrawling and dropped his pen on the desk. He pushed his spectacles up and looked at Sharon. "I suggest we send him for an MRI scan. It's designed to detect abnormalities in the brain. If something's wrong, it's likely to pick it up." Dr. Dutter turned back to Adam. "In the meantime, Adam, I'd highly recommend you avoid any intoxications of any sort. I don't think that's the cause, but we need to rule it out." Okay. Adam nodded, his face pink with embarrassment. Dr. Dutter sat back on his chair and began scribbling on his notepad again. I'll make a referral for you today. The hospital will be in touch shortly with a date. I'll mark it as urgent. Thank you, Doctor. Sharon looked at Adam with a smile on her face. That's all right. Just keep an eye on him. No driving or operating machinery, or anything else that could be a hazard if he suddenly has another seizure. These things can get worse and can occur at any time. Yes, of course, Doctor, Sharon replied. The doctor tore off a prescription and handed it to her. Here's something for the headaches if they occur again. Follow the dosage on the box. No more than 3 tablets within 24 hours. Sharon took the prescription and they both stood up to leave. Adam wasn't sure how he felt about all this. He didn't get the answer he was hoping for, just another appointment, and this time in a hospital. God, I hate hospitals. Well, at least I don't have to wait in A&E. Chapter 6. First Contact. Adam stood out on his balcony and stared out at the familiar city skyline. It was a hot evening in July and everything looked beautiful. No matter how often he stood there and gazed at the same cityscape, he always saw something new. Sometimes a new building, sometimes a new light, but what he loved most was the sky. Every day it looked completely different. But today Adam wasn't looking at anything in particular. Today he was just staring into the abyss, lost in his own thoughts. It had been a week since his visit to the doctor's office, and Adam hadn't seen his friends once. He felt bad for avoiding them, but right now all he wanted was to be left alone. He knew Nikita, Z, Adil, and the rest of the gang would suspect something was wrong, since it wasn't like Adam to spend his summer holidays indoors. But Adam couldn't tell them, and he didn't want to lie. Right now, avoiding them was the only thing he could do, and he hated it. Thanks to his researching skills, Adam had become very familiar with the process that was likely to be involved if they did spot an irregularity with his brain. But knowing about the process offered him little comfort. Why me? Adam contemplated as he stared at the traffic moving slowly below. He looked at this watch, but it was too dark to tell the time without illuminating the dial. He pressed down on the large G symbol, and the watch instantly burst to life, emitting its usual super-bright turquoise glow. He glanced down at his watch to read the time, but something was wrong. The numbers had all disappeared. His entire display was blank. It was just a bright turquoise screen displaying nothing. Adam shook his wrist and looked again, and suddenly he noticed letters slowly scrolling across the dial. The display now read, "You're not sick." Adam froze and felt his heart rate rise in shock. He stared at the message. He shook his wrist again, wondering if it was a glitch, but it didn't go away. The words just scrolled over again and again. What the damn? I must be tripping. Adam began to panic. Someone or something was communicating with him, and he had no idea how to react. For a moment he wondered if his watch was trying to comfort him, as if it were a toy from a Disney movie that had come to life to reassure him that all will be well. He chuckled at the thought, but he couldn't deny that there it was, a message relevant to him on his wristwatch. Someone's watching me. Adam's eyes darted around. He was outdoors in plain sight. Anyone with binoculars could be watching him from any one of thousands of locations right now. But how are they controlling my watch? Adam continued to look around, and just then, beneath him on the road, a parked black Mercedes roared to life. It switched its lights on and sped off down the road, turned left, and disappeared out of sight around the corner. Adam tried to catch the number plate, but it was too small and too dark to make out the characters. He glanced back at his watch. The light had switched off. He pressed the button, and it burst into life again. And staring back at him was the time, 11:01 p.m. I really am losing my mind. Lying in his bed, bouncing a ball against the wall, Adam was once again in deep thoughts. His mind desperately trying to solve the mystery of what he'd just witnessed. In a way, he was thankful. The strange occurrence offered a welcome break from constantly worrying about his health. All he could focus on now was the surreal experience he just had. The message, the car, My watch. The thoughts circled in his mind over and over relentlessly. He retraced his steps and was certain he never took his watch off. And there was no way someone had taken it off him and tampered with it. He flipped open his laptop and tried to describe what happened to see if the search engines would return any answers. He scrolled and scrolled through thousands of results, but nothing seemed relevant. He read something interesting about radio-controlled text messages, but the device receiving the message had to be configured too, and he was certain his wristwatch didn't have the required hardware in it for such a thing to be possible. But then, it suddenly dawned on him. Oh my God. Adam closed the laptop and spun around to look at the mirror. The alleyway guy. Suddenly he realized that his watch could have been tampered with by the stranger who helped him when he was unconscious. Chapter 7. Confidant. Adil looked at his Seiko watch. It was almost 11:15 a.m. and despite having lots of errands to run in his new job, he felt distracted. It had been over a week since he'd spoken to Adam, and it was unlike Adam to avoid his calls. Adil decided to take a break, and he grabbed his cigarettes and lighter. He turned towards his manager, who was on a call, and made the internationally recognized gesture for, "I'm going for a cigarette break," by tapping his index and middle fingers to his mouth. His manager nodded and spun around on his chair to continue his call. Adil grabbed his phone and headed for the designated smoking area in the staff car park, to the rear of the building. He lit up the cigarette and took his time with the first couple of drags, watching the smoke as it escaped his mouth. With the cigarette gripped in his lips, he unlocked his phone and opened up his list of contacts and tapped on the call symbol beside Adam's name. The phone had been ringing for a while, and after the fifth ring, Adil was almost certain Adam wasn't going to answer and started wondering what he should say on the voicemail. But suddenly the call connected. "Hello," Adam answered in a croaky voice. "Wow, Adam, still asleep? Bloody all right for some, eh?" Adil joked. "Adil, bro, how you doing, man? Damn, what time is it?" "It's almost midday, you ragamuffin. Where the heck you been? I ain't seen you in time. You ain't even congratulated me on my new job yet." Adam tried to shift through the hazy memory banks in his mind. What job? Where you working? And remember that interview I went to a couple of weeks ago? Well, it came through, man. They offered me the job the next day. Can you believe it? I'm working in St. Paul's now. No way, man. That's awesome. Adam beamed, genuinely happy for Adil. He knew that if there was anyone who was going to successful in life from the group, it was probably going to be him. "Congrats, dude. Sorry I've been offline lately. Just had crap to deal with, man." Adam felt guilty for being such a recluse. His best friend had got his first job, and he didn't even know until now. "Seriously, dude, what's up with you these days?" Adil complained. "You've been away and we've kinda missed having you around. The rest of us all still hook up every day. The gang's been asking after you. People are starting to talk." Adil was always straight up with Adam. Neither of them ever felt that they had to sugarcoat anything that was on their mind. "Really? Damn. What's everyone been saying?" Adam frowned. "Well, for starters, that your mum has got you on lockdown for something major. Is that true?" Of all the theories people had to explain Adam's disappearance, this one seemed the most plausible to Adil. "No, man. I've just been on a weird flex lately." "Bro, if you can't tell me, who can you tell?" It was hard to ignore Adil's sincerity as it shone through in those simple words. Adam paused for a moment. He had no intention of telling anyone about this, but suddenly a sense of loneliness overcame him, and Adam reasoned that confiding in his best friend might help him deal with it better. "I gotta tell him." Adam realized that he couldn't keep himself isolated like this any longer. Okay. Adam sighed. "Adil, look, something's going on and I want to tell you in person. But you gotta meet me somewhere so we can talk properly. I can't tell the guys yet, just you. And you gotta swear on your mum's life that you won't tell anyone. Cool?" Adam had gone all in. He still wasn't quite sure if telling Adil was the right thing to do, but his heart was begging him to share the burden with someone who'd understand. "Hell, man, this sounds serious." Adil frowned. He could tell from Adam's tone something was wrong, and now wasn't sure whether he should be curious or concerned. "Dude, You know me. Bro code for life. I won't tell anyone. Okay, what time do you get off work? I get out of here at 5:30. I can come down to Mile End if... No, Adam interrupted. Not around here. Let's meet in St. Paul's. I'll come to you. Okay, no probs. So how about the Cafe Nero by the Merrill Lynch building? They've got a nice quiet basement seating area. Best place for a private chat. It's always dead down there. Yeah, that's fine, Adam confirmed. I'll find it. I'll be there at 5:30. See you then, man. See you then. Adil sat there in stunned silence as Adam spilt his guts about everything. The nightmares, the blackout, the stranger he saw on the street, the doctor's appointment, his watch message, and finally, his imminent MRI scan. Adil stared at Adam in shock. Mind blown, bro, he finally blurted. Adil didn't know how to feel about what he had just heard. His head was struggling to process everything. What advice does someone give in a situation like this? He wondered. But then he looked up at his best friend and realized that coming up with a plan or solution wasn't what Adam needed right now. Right now, he needed a friend who will throw his arm over his shoulders and tell him that everything will be okay. Adil's sympathy was tainted with a sliver of anger that his friend had been suffering all this time alone and that he kept him in the dark. This is crazy, dude. Why didn't you tell me sooner? I didn't know how to. Besides, nothing is really confirmed. The MRI scan has to be done first. Then I'll need to wait for the results before I know for sure. I just wanted you to know so you don't think I'm skanking you. I want to just forget about all this stuff. But I can't. It's always on my mind, and I know that if I see the guys, they'll sense something's up and keep pressing me till I tell them. I don't want their pity, man. And they're going to tell everyone, and it'll only get worse. So I thought I'd just avoid everyone and stay indoors. But now I'm going insane and needed to talk to someone I could trust. Adil wondered what he would have done if he were in such a situation. He quickly realized that he would have probably done the same and hidden himself to avoid the questions and negative attention. Okay, so I get the health stuff, Adil began. But what you said about that bloke has got me worried, man. You sure he actually physically picked you up and brought you home? Bro, I was knocked out, but I'm pretty sure he did. I got a weird feeling that this guy is linked to the message I got on my watch too. Man, are you sure you saw a message on your watch? What pills they got you on? Adil joked. I mean, that's some serious James Bond, Mission Impossible stuff right there. The message was clear as day, bro. I know what I saw. And I'm pretty sure he was in that Merc that took off right after. Adil sat in deep thought, rubbing the stubble on his chin for a moment. Well, to be honest, just looking at the plain facts, the guy seems pretty decent. The remark caught Adam by surprise. Decent, he laughed. Think about it. I mean, he saw you collapse, he took you home, he didn't rob you, and now he's communicating through your watch, telling you that you're not sick and you've got nothing to worry about. Adam couldn't deny that Adil had a point. He slumped back in his chair for a moment and pondered the notion that maybe, just maybe, this person wasn't some serial killer psycho. Well, I guess you're right. But it makes me wonder if he is behind all this. Why is he being so mysterious about it? He clearly knows something that I don't, so why doesn't he just talk to me like a normal human being? I don't know, Adil admitted. That's what makes me nervous. Just keep your wits about you in case you see him again. Adam nodded in agreement. So when's your MRI scan anyway? Thursday. This Thursday? Yup. Man, that's quick. NHS usually takes ages for my appointments. They don't hang about for things like this. They act fast if they think you have something serious. Something serious. Those final words hung in the air like a bad smell, and a somber mood suddenly fell upon both of them. They both sat there for a moment in silence, dwelling on the possibility of it all being real. Adil had no idea what to say or do to make his friend feel better. Bro, just know you can rely on me for anything, okay? Through thick and thin, I'll be there for you. I'll take Thursday off work and come with you. Thanks, bro, But it's okay. Mum's coming with me, and I made her promise not to tell anyone, so I don't want her to know, you know. Okay, but as soon as you get out, call me and tell me how it went. Yeah, cool. Adam nodded. By the way, the guys are wondering what's going on with you, and they're asking me on a daily basis if I've heard from you. What do you want me to tell them? I don't know, man, Adam groaned. Just tell them I've been staying with my uncle's family in Birmingham for a couple of weeks. Birmingham? That's a bit random. Got a better suggestion? Adil thought for a moment and then shook his head. Not really. Guess it'll have to do then. Fine, Birmingham it is, and when exactly are you coming back from your imaginary holiday to Birmingham? Adam figured out the dates in his head. Tell them next Saturday. By then I should have my results and I'll know one way or the other. Cool, next Saturday, Adil confirmed. If it's good news, then happy days, and if not, then I'll just face the guys and tell them the truth. I won't be able to hide it forever, and I can't keep living like this. As the reality of the situation was sinking in, Adil felt a sudden wave of sadness overwhelm him and felt his eyes well up. The pang of emotion caught him off guard, and he quickly looked upwards as he took a sip of his cappuccino, avoiding eye contact. Man, I still can't believe all this is happening, he croaked before clearing his throat. Adam noticed the wet shimmer in Adil's eyes and felt blessed that he had a friend who cared about him this much. He knew that telling him was the right thing to do, and he felt better for doing so. Oi, I ain't dead yet, so hold off on the waterworks, Adam teased, trying to make light of the situation. Adil felt embarrassed and laughed. Shut up, I ain't teary over you. I burned my mouth on that last sip, he lied. Anyway, what you going to do for the next couple of days till your scan? He asked, quickly changing the subject. Same thing I've done for the past 2 weeks. Play on my PlayStation. I've been stuck on this one boss battle for ages. I swear it's going to be the death of me. He stopped and looked up at Adil as he realised what he'd just said. Adil looked back, and after a few moments of silence, they simultaneously burst into laughter. It was Thursday morning, and Adam was getting dressed for his 10 a.m. appointment. The flat was alive with noise as Sharon prepared breakfast, as Sydney watched television in the living room. Adam didn't get much sleep the night before, but he was prepared. Thanks to the power of the internet, he had fully researched every process and procedure that was likely to occur. Breakfast's ready, bellowed Sharon. Coming, Mom, Adam yelled back. Breakfast was a quiet affair with neither of them saying much, both lost in their own thoughts as they chewed their toast and slurped their tea. Adam finished first and Sharon swiftly followed suit. They grabbed their things as they left the house. It was a 10-minute walk to the hospital, and although Sharon tried sparking up a conversation, Adam just wanted to be left alone. They arrived at the hospital at 9:40. The main receptionist inspected their appointment letter and guided them to the correct ward. They followed the directions through the long corridors until they arrived at another smaller reception desk. The nurse behind the desk checked their letter and cross-referenced it with a list on her clipboard, and finally asked them to take a seat in the waiting area. It had been 10 of the longest minutes of Adam's life as he sat on the hard blue plastic chairs in the waiting area. He finally heard his name and shot to his feet. Mr. Newton, Mr. Adam Newton, called out the nurse. Here, he said as he walked towards the desk. He looked back at his mum, who was now stood and gathering her things. Follow me, please, she ordered. Chapter 9. Protocol 8F. I think it's time, Sash concluded. Remember what you said. I'm in complete creative control, right? Belkin was thinking the same thing. He'd already waited long enough for this moment, and the clock was ticking. He should have intercepted Adam a long time ago. But he was worried about Adam's lineage. He wasn't just some potential candidate. He sat there running through the plan in his mind, again and again, cross-referencing it to the milestones he had by now memorized. He had to achieve the goal before the ultimate deadline, and the deadline was approaching fast. He estimated that he was already running 4 weeks behind schedule, and they hadn't even started with Adam yet. He was the key. he swiveled his white leather chair away from his desk and gazed out of the window of his office. Like the rest of the apartment, the office was minimal, with classy modern furniture and the same white, black, and red theme running through it. The office felt clean and light. It was a place that Belkin used for solitude, problem-solving, and creating strategies. "Belkin, you know what's at stake," Sash continued. "If you want me to succeed in recruiting him and giving him a fighting chance at success, we need to act now. Hell, we needed to act last month." Sash didn't understand why Belkin was procrastinating like this. It wasn't like him at all. He, of all people, knew it took years to train some candidates before letting them out on field ops, and most didn't even make it past training. "Okay," Belkin said flatly. He felt the gravity of the word on his shoulders. It felt heavy, as if he had just agreed to execute somebody. "Okay," Sash echoed in pleasant surprise. "You're right, Sash. You are in creative control of his first contact. Besides, Adam is now mature enough to make his own decisions. Legally, he's no longer a child once he's 16. Sash looked into Belkin's eyes. "Legally? Wait, have you been worrying about his legal age all this time?" Belkin broke eye contact and looked away. "I made a promise to his father. The Newton family has done more than their fair share for this cause and nothing," Sash interjected. "Joseph was a great man, a hero. Given the situation, I'm sure he would have wanted this for—" "Look, Sash," Belkin cut in, "we don't know what he would have wanted, but Adam is now old enough to decide for himself. My oath to Joseph expired when he turned 16. My morality has kept my hands tied. But I've decided that saving the world by risking the few demonstrates greater morality. I just wished I didn't know his father so personally." Belkin stood up and walked to the bookshelf, scanning the books within it. "But like I said, the world is more important than my personal sense of guilt." "You're doing the right thing, Belkin. You've tried finding other candidates, and I know you didn't want to involve Adam, but it looks like he might be the one after all." Sash watched Belkin pause at a book on the shelf before sliding it out. "Want me to call the team and get this started?" Belkin nodded in agreement as he looked at the cover of the book in his hand by Sun Tzu, The Art of War. Over the past few years, Belkin travelled across the world and scouted a small elite team of naturally gifted individuals that he brought back to London. Considered outcasts and freaks of nature in their home countries, with Belkin, they were a unified force. This was the mission his crew had been waiting for. "Tell them that we're commencing Protocol 8F. Tell them to rendezvous here at headquarters 7 a.m. tomorrow morning." Sash beamed. She couldn't hide her excitement any longer. She felt that Belkin had been mentally detached over the past couple of months, but now suddenly he was back. The old Belkin, the Belkin she admired and respected. "Right away, Captain," Sash said as she turned and headed for the door. "One more thing, Sash." Sash stopped halfway out the door and spun around. "Yes?" "Were we able to obtain a copy of Adam's MRI test results?" "Yes, all negative. He's stressing over nothing. I guess one good thing about telling him the truth is that he can stop worrying about his health." "Good. Intercept Adam tonight." "Tonight?" Sash didn't expect that. She paused and looked at Belkin for a moment. He gave her a reassuring nod, and it provided her all the faith she needed. She nodded slowly and smiled. "Nice to have you back, Chief." Chapter 10. The Women. Adam was playing Call of Duty on his PlayStation when he heard the doorbell ring. It was just after 2 p.m. and he wasn't expecting Mum or Sid back from the market till at least 5 p.m. God, Mum and her damn Gems TV. It was well known that Sharon had a habit of ordering cosmetic jewellery from late-night TV shows. Adam groaned as he rested the controller, unable to pause the real-time online game, knowing full well it would ruin his kill streak. He ran towards the door, turned the latch, and swung it open. "Surprise! Nikita! Hey!" Adam exclaimed in shock as his heart began to race. She looked gorgeous. Her dark blonde hair bounced in the wind and hugged the soft contours of her face. She looked prettier than usual today. At first, Adam couldn't figure out what it was, and then the penny dropped. She's wearing makeup. He'd never really noticed makeup on her before, not even for the school disco. The makeup wasn't excessive, but it made her eyes sparkle and her lips seemed more prominent and voluptuous. She looked as if she was getting ready to go on a date. "Everything okay?" he asked anxiously. Nikita had visited Adam before but didn't usually make unannounced visits like this, and she never visited alone. What's going on?" he stuttered, trying to act as cool as possible. "Wow, that's nice, isn't it?" she scoffed. "A friend comes over to ask after you, and you don't even invite them in." Adam smiled to hide his embarrassment. "Come on in, hun," he said as he stepped aside. "You know, you could have at least called love. You're lucky I'm not in my underwear." He joked as she walked in. Shame. Nikita giggled as she made her way to his room and looked around. "Goodness me, Adam, did you get burgled last night? Look at the state of this place," she jibed as she noticed his clothes all over the bed and floor. She glanced at the television and noticed the action in the video game still in full swing. "Video games, Adam. Shouldn't you be looking for a job or applying to college?" "I'm learning important skills through these games, Nikki." "Oh, really?" she smiled. "Like what, exactly?" "Hand-eye coordination, problem-solving, strategy, tactics, teamwork, you name it. It's more practical than school. Trust me, games ain't like Pac-Man anymore. I'm developing real-life skills." "Real-life skills?" Nikita laughed. "When's the last time you led an alpha squad out to battle?" "Well, maybe not the situation," Adam chuckled. "But mentally it's useful. I mean, some of the puzzles in these games take me hours to figure out, but once you do, there's nothing in the world more satisfying." "Oh, really?" Nikita teased. "Nothing at all?" she said as she raised an eyebrow. Adam felt his cheeks flush. Nikita was known for teasing and flirting with the guys from time to time, but right now he wasn't sure if she really liked him or if she was just joking around. "Well," he conceded, "there might be one thing." "You are so full of crap, Adam." Nikita laughed as she playfully slapped his arm. She turned towards his bed and moved his clothes to one side before sitting down and making herself comfortable. "So, what's going on with you lately? Where the hell you been the last couple of weeks?" Adam hesitated in responding. He had been expecting the question, but he was still stuck for words. "I'm sorry, babe," Adam finally confessed. "I've just been going through a lot at the moment and needed to be alone for some thinking time with the family." Adam didn't want to talk about it. The truth was that he wasn't playing video games because he enjoyed developing life skills. It was because they distracted him from his problems. For the first time in weeks, someone had come over and made him forget all about it. "I just don't want to talk about it right now, but either way, it'll be over this week, and I promise to be myself again." He smiled. Nikita had no idea what that meant, but her instincts were telling her not to pry. "Ooh, such a man of mystery," she teased. "Maybe that's why all the girls are crazy over you at school." Adam blushed as he laughed off the comment. "Whatever," he smiled. He looked at her, and in that very moment, he realized why he liked her so much. She had the innate ability to make any situation pleasant. He rarely felt awkward around her, and if he did, she could cast her magic and somehow make everything better. "I'm sorry, you must have me confused with some other guy," he joked back. "Your name is Adam, right?" "Yes." "You live with your mum and sister, right?" Adam smiled as he realized she was taking this joke all the way. "Yes." "You're awesome at Call of Duty, right?" "Yes, damn it, yes." "Sorry, you were right, I do have the wrong Adam." They both burst into laughter as Adam sat on the bed beside her. "Hey, want to learn how to play Call of Duty?" "Learn?" Nikita laughed. "I'm a pro. Pass me the controller, you better have my guns unlocked." Adam handed her the controller, both stunned and skeptical. "You really know how to play?" he quizzed. "Where's that? Oh, here we go." Nikita barely heard Adam as she cycled through the options until she found the guns and equipment she was looking for. "Okay, my class is set," she said as she made some final tweaks. "Yup, let's do this." She turned and looked at Adam, who was looking back at her, completely dumbstruck. Oh, and any map except Wasteland. God, I hate that map. Sure, Adam replied in amazement. How about Rust? That's a good map. Rust okay? I love Rust. You're going down Buster, she beamed. Adam began selecting the options and started the game. Oh my God, she's perfect. It was just after 7:30 p.m. and despite still playing video, games all Adam could think about was Nikita. She received a call from her mother and had to leave suddenly. Adam could tell her mother was angry with her about something. He didn't want to pry and didn't protest when she told him she had to leave. He could tell she was having fun and didn't really want to go, which made saying goodbye even more difficult. He kept recalling the look of longing in her eyes as she left. I should have kissed her, I'm so stupid, he kept telling himself. Sharon and Sydney had been back a while now. Sharon was cooking in the kitchen and Sydney was on the phone in her room. Sheer boredom kept Adam playing until the online game lobby lost its connection and the PlayStation network couldn't reconnect to the online servers. Frustrated, he threw his controller aside and sat there thinking about what other games he had. Suddenly, his phone beeped, alerting him to a new text message. Adam smiled before he even picked up his phone. I bet it's Nikita. Adam unlocked his phone and noticed something he'd never seen before. The sender was unknown. What? Unknown? He frowned as he looked at the screen. I didn't know you could withhold a text message ID. Adam opened up his inbox to read the message. Adam, you are not sick. You are special. We can help each other. I'm outside. We should talk. Sash. Sash? Who or what is Sash? Adam read the message 5 times before he was able to register what he was reading. He was petrified. Man, what is this crap? Adam felt his heart rate rise and adrenaline course through his veins. He felt a sense of nervous anxiety, the kind he felt when he was about to get into a fight with someone after school, and it was just minutes before the bell rang. He got to his feet and walked over to the window and peered outside. It was getting dark, but there was still a decent amount of daylight. He couldn't see anyone, just a row of cars parked up as always. Suddenly he noticed a very expensive Mercedes. He knew he hadn't seen it before, and amongst the usual cars it stuck out like a sore thumb. Adam stared at the car a little longer. Wait, that's the car I saw that night I got the message on my watch. It was all making sense now. They're here to talk to me, to tell me what the hell is going on. The curiosity was becoming overwhelming. He paced up and down his bedroom trying to think about what he should do. Hell with it. Adam grabbed his socks. As he was putting them on, he wondered what they'd tell him. The words on the text message kept looping in his mind. Special. Adam chuckled to himself. That word could mean anything in this politically correct world these days. Mom! I'm going out! Adam yelled. What? Sharon bellowed. Where are you going? It had been a while since Adam had told her he was going out, and she was happy that he'd be getting off the games and into the fresh air. He'd been cooped up at home for weeks, but her maternal instincts were telling her that something wasn't right. Just out to see Z, I'll be back in a bit, not going far, just getting a game from his house. He slipped his feet into his trainers, he grabbed a game of his own and stuffed it down the front of his jeans. He opened his bedroom door and headed straight for the front door of the flat. Okay, but be back before 11 p.m, okay? She yelled back. Okay, Mum, I will. Adam opened the door and checked he had his phone, wallet and keys, the 3 things he always checked for before leaving. He patted his pockets. Check, 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 and he took a deep breath. This is nuts. No. He pressed the elevator call button and waited for it to arrive. Suddenly, his phone bleeped again. It was another text message from the same unknown number. Come to the car, you'll know which one. Adam knew exactly which one. He finally reached outside and looked around for the car. It was a lot darker now, but someone had noticed him, and he suddenly saw car headlamps flick on. He walked up to the car cautiously and noticed that it was a brand new S-Class Mercedes. Nice. The windows were tinted, masking the driver's face. He was now just 6 feet away and the rear door swung open, but no one got out. He approached the door and peered in. Hi, Adam. smiled Sash in a soft American accent. How are you? Adam's jaw almost hit the ground. Oh my days, she's so hot. Adam tried not to let on how nervous he felt. I'm okay, he mustered. I'm Sash. Please don't be scared. I'm sure you've got a lot of questions. I'm here to explain everything. Can we go for a drive? Adam almost immediately leapt into the car, but he hesitated as he looked at the driver. He was an elderly man who didn't seem to care what they were talking about. Sash noticed his apprehension. I mean, if we keep talking like this, we might draw attention to ourselves. Adam realized she had a point. Drug dealers and even prostitutes were common in the area after dark. Police presence was high, as was the local neighborhood gossip circle. If any of his mum's friends saw him hanging around like this on the block, it'd be sure to get back to his mother. He looked around and then looked back at Sash sitting in the back. Her pretty face was all the convincing he needed. How often am I going to get a chance to sit in a car like this with a woman like that? Adam lifted his shirt and removed the video game stuffed in his trousers before sitting down and closing the door behind him. Sash smiled and raised her eyebrow in curiosity as she glanced at the game. It's my excuse to get out of the house, Adam admitted. Sash nodded at the driver, who immediately nodded back and began driving. They both sat in silence as the car indicated and turned right onto the A13. Adam kept stealing glances at her. She was stunning. Her eyes were a beautiful shade of green, and she had full red lips. Her blonde hair was slightly curled as it dropped just past her shoulders. Her expensive-looking bright red dress seemed tailored perfectly to her curves. Just so you know, I need to be back by 11? Sash interjected with a smile on her face. Yes, I know. That's why there's no time to waste. Adam sat back in stunned silence. He was strangely becoming accustomed to the fact that this woman knew everything about him. In a mysterious way, it was making him feel comfortable, as if she had everything in control. She had a soft yet authoritative way about her that commanded obedience. Adam continued to sit in silence and look out the window. He knew the roads well and could tell they were headed west. So are we going far? Knightsbridge, Sash replied. What's in Knightsbridge? What isn't important, it's who, she alluded. I'm taking you to meet a very important person. She noticed that Adam was beginning to feel anxious and decided to be a little more open with him. She knew that anxiety was a possible trigger for his seizures and concluded that a little assurance would calm him. We've been watching you for over a year now, Adam. Adam spun around and faced Sash. What? That's right. Around the time you had your first nightmare. Do you remember your first nightmare? End of part 2.